I'm Justin Davis, and this is Drone Camps RC. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Justin Davis, and today I get to review the Cheerson CX23. It has GPS on board and it's under 250 grams. How cool is that? It's around 238 grams loaded with the battery on there. And just to double check, I'll turn on the scale and we'll set it here one more time. Actually 230 grams. I was wrong, it's actually even lighter. So total takeoff weight with the battery in there, and you're gonna get about around a 10-minute flight time with this battery. This is a 2S 1200 milliamp 20C battery. It comes along with the charger as well, and you just plug that into any US wall outlet. It does come with US version style plugs, the one that I got. Now the most exciting thing about this quad is the fact that it is 5.8. It's not a Wi-Fi style quad, so Cheerson, thumbs up for that, because this is awesome. Now what's also awesome about this is the fact that I can use my Fat Shark goggles with this. So I can actually FPV this one, or I can fly it with the onboard monitor right here. That's pretty neat. I can also switch channels. They put a button on this, which is really, really nice. Little charge ports over here on the side, and this just clips onto the monitor holder recessed right here inside the radio. And this is kind of hard to get on here, but once you have it on there, there it is. It's all ready to go. If you press the power button there, once this is charged up, you get all this telemetry here on the screen. But this is probably one of the nicest Cheerson transmitters to date. It does have that dual reception back here on the back, and it has a built-in LiPo, so you can charge it with a micro USB cable. It does come with one. But the nicest thing about this is it feels nice in my hands. It has sort of a rubber coating on the outside. Self-centering sticks right here, and that is pretty much can be flown in mode 1 or mode 2, and that's nice because sticks go back to center. It means it has altitude hold. If the one stick is down, that usually means it doesn't, but some of them still do. The next nicest thing about this is that it does have a mode switch here, and if you long press that, it'll go into orbit mode. Short press and it'll turn GPS on or off for you. It also has return to home. A lot of guys like that because this one actually has about a 500-meter range, which is super sweet. And if you get in trouble, if you lose connection from the radio to your quad, it'll actually stop what it's doing, return to home, and come back and land. Now also has a low battery fail-safe on here, so if this battery gets super low, it's going to stop what it's doing, return to home, and land. So there's a lot of safeguards with this one. You also have a camera button here and a long press for starting to record the video. Now up here in this screen right here, this tells you a lot of telemetry information coming back from the quad. You have your transmitter battery voltage displayed there, so you actually see that 3.9 up there. You also have your signal strength there right next to that. You have what mode you're in on this position right here. That's A, so that's going to be non-GPS mode. If you press mode again, that'll put it to B, which is going to be your GPS mode, and long press is going to put you into C, which is going to be the orbit mode. Now you have aircraft battery voltage right here, and right now the aircraft's not on, so it says 0. The next one over shows you how many satellites you have locked onto. Now we have our speed over here. You can see this little icon right here. It has an H and an S. We have distance just below that. We have over here on this right hand side, we have ascent and descent speed. The last and final one is for the height in meters over in the bottom right. It has a little 000 here and then an M at the very end to let you know how many meters up you are. Now they also give you a variety of tools, and this is different than what I've seen before. This is a lot nicer. This is interchangeable parts for Allen bolts, and actually has one for a smaller version on that other end, and you have a flathead and a Phillips head screwdriver. It just goes right down into this tool just like that, so pretty nice. And you get a traditional little tiny miniature Phillips head screwdriver, and this is super sweet. It does come with a USB drive that you can put right into your computer and load up your video files to your desktop, and it comes with an 8 GB micro SD card, which I find really surprising because a lot of these come with something like a 4 gig, and sometimes a lot lately this year, they don't come with any micro SD card at all. So that goes in right there, just behind the camera. Okay, now this part of the video is going to be crucial to you having a successful video recording experience with your CX23. A lot of people out there haven't tried this quad yet, but if you try it with the micro SD card that came with it, you're going to get some black video, or you're going to get dropped frames. It does record to an AVI format, so Macintosh guys, you're going to have to convert that over to a usable video format for your video editors. But PC guys, you'll be totally fine. Now, it doesn't matter whether you have a Mac or a PC. If you're using this card, you're going to get some blacked out frames. And I'll show the video here. As you can see on the screen, I got like minutes worth of black frame. I had audio, but I had absolutely no video. It was completely blacked out for minutes at a time. So the one that comes with it, get rid of that one, put it to the side, maybe use it for something else, low resolution GoPro video or something. Now the next one that I experimented with was the SanDisk Ultra, and that's a 16 gigabyte class 10, and this one is most likely not a class 10. You want a class 10 or higher, and what that does is it lets it get the frame rate coming from the video camera on the drone faster to the card. It writes the frames faster. So if it doesn't record fast enough, you're going to get blacked out video. Now this next one, my experiment, you can see here on the screen, this one I thought was going to work just fine because it said class 10 on there. But again, this one actually was stuttering the frame rates. No blacked out frames on this one, but look, you can see it's stuttering. So that's not going to work for me either, especially if I'm trying to review this for you guys. Now the next one, and the winner of the competition here with these three, is the Lexar 633X, and this is a 16 gigabyte class 10 one as well. This one worked out perfect, and I'll put the video up right now so you can see that. This one was the winner of the three that I tried, and my last and final class 10 that I had laying around. I only have 2 of these right now. So this one worked out, and I'm happy that it did. So for you, if you want to have a successful time with your CX23, make sure you get the Lexar 633 class 10 or better. So I'll try to put a link down below for you guys for this particular micro SD card, because without this one, I'm not sure which one out there is going to work, but I know for sure that this one does. So stick with the Lexar 633 class 10 16 gigabyte, and you'll have a good experience with your CX23. All right guys, here we are at the field with the CX23, and we're going to do this little demo flight real quick. I'm testing out my new gimbal today. This is a WG2, and I'm going to try to show you that on the channel coming up soon. It's a little brushless gimbal. Anyway, I have the GPS loaded up, and now we need to calibrate the compass. So the way you do that is actually you're going to press really quickly on the mode button a bunch of times, just like this, until you see Calibrate Compass. Calibrate Compass horizontally, and it's going to show it on the screen right there. So we just calibrate it. We'll go about 3 rotations or so, and it'll say face vertical, rotate vertical, camera facing down. Okay, and it should come back to the main screen when you're all done. So they want you to turn everything off after that, after you've calibrated it, and restart it. So we're going to turn the radio off too, turn the radio back on, press and hold this button to turn it back on. And it's kind of a neat radio because it has a lot of features. All the telemetry is right here on the screen. It has all that stuff I was showing you before in the studio, but also it has it on the FPV monitor. It has even more information on this, which is really neat. Now I did also figure out that having this away from the radio actually gives me a little better reception and less interference. So if you can mount your monitor somewhere else away from the radio, you're going to get probably a better signal. Now the signal coming back to this is not the greatest. As an honest review, I'll tell you. But what's really neat about this is it's running 5.8 gigahertz video, which is my favorite because it has a faster frame rate, and you can FPV this. So it's cool because unlike Wi-Fi, like a lot of people ask me, can I use goggles with my Phantom? A lot of times you can't, because sometimes Phantoms are running on Lightbridge or Wi-Fi. So if it's running on 5.8, it's a lower resolution. Some people don't like that, but it's a faster frame rate, so it'll allow you to use FPV goggles. Anything that is running 5.8, any FPV goggles will work with this
Cheerson CX23. And so that's makes it kind of two drones in one, like a little miniature camera drone slash FPV trainer racer. Okay, so I got the Fat Sharks recording, and that's just a little extra video recording off of the original quad here, original quad video stream. I've got the monitor going. Now what's also really cool is it gives you an arrow on this screen that tells you which way to face to come back toward the home point. That's really useful if you're out there several hundred meters. So we'll go ahead now and we'll switch into GPS mode. So when you first take off, you're going to be in A mode, which is going to be altitude hold, but no GPS lock. So if you want a GPS lock, what you need to do is put it in that second mode on here, which is B, and then you'll be able to come off the ground and hold and maintain a position and an altitude. If you're in mode A, you're just going to kind of drift with the wind, so keep that in mind. And then long press on mode, we'll do orbit mode, but make sure you're far away from trees and everything. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and press that H button on the right and arm the motors. Long press it, and it should take off. So if it tilts to the side a little bit, you might want to correct it by just going to the right a little bit with the stick. It does seem to be drifting right now too. It doesn't have a very good GPS lock. It might take a moment or two to kind of get a good GPS signal to the quad. So now that it's kind of locked in, it only took about 10 seconds to lock in. Seems to have a pretty good locked in GPS hover. And you got to make sure that you're in mode B for that to work correctly, because otherwise you get a lot of drifting. It also has LEDs in the back, but I think these rotors in the back that have these inverted motors, they're kind of cool looking. Give this quad something different, and it's super compact. But I'm gonna go ahead and start the video now. Long press the camera icon, and you should see a little tiny red light, a red LED up inside there. It's kind of hard to see during the day. So now we're recording. You can see this guy right there riding his bike. We're not gonna fly directly over him, but we're gonna do some cruising in the field right here. I'm gonna show you the camera quality of this camera. Now in GPS mode, I feel like it's not quite as good as when you're flying in mode A, mainly because the GPS is it always wants to bring the quad to a stop. So think about that when you're making your camera pans. If you're using this to kind of shoot video and play around shooting video, you're gonna get the best pans if you're in mode A, out of GPS mode. Kind of the way it's always been with these little quads, aerial quads in general. See how it abruptly comes to a stop if I let go of the stick, just like that. Now I'm going to take it out of GPS mode by pressing once again on mode. If I just short press, it'll take the GPS off. Now if I come over here and I let go of the stick, now watch what happens. It keeps going in that same direction, and it just kind of floats with the wind, and it waits for your input. It never comes to an abrupt stop. So if I let back off the stick, it's not as aggressively trying to stop itself. So it's kind of nice for filming. I've always taught people in the drone camps curriculum, in lessons for learning how to fly and film. But a pretty nice, smooth, slow and steady flyer. This is a great trainer for people who want to learn how to fly a GPS quad. Now we're coming back around here toward me. Now the orbit mode on here is actually quite wide. So right here where I'm standing, you see these trees over here to my left. If I was to put it in orbit mode right here, we would fly into those trees, and it doesn't have any object avoidance on this little guy, so keep that in mind. It will just fly right into the trees. So you want to be in a nice wide open field. It has a really large radius, but a really nice flying quad. Look at that. Now let's go ahead and put it back into GPS mode and watch it come to a stop. It's drifting just a little bit, and if it does a phenomenon called a toilet bowl, just want to set it back down and recalibrate your compass. or it could be magnetic interference in the atmosphere. If you have a day where you're having an issue with the solar weather, it can actually affect GPS compass navigation, so keep that in mind as well. You can get these little apps on your phone, open up that app, and you can see the current forecast for the solar weather. So I'm still recording here, and I'm recording with my Class 10 Lexar SD card. That's that one that I told you guys works perfectly with this quad. Since I've done a little flying and had some experiences with recording video to different micro SD cards, this one worked the best and didn't drop the frames like the other cards did. The one that comes with it, it just works really terrible. It's not fast enough to record all the frames. So that's a problem with this quad. So you want to order that Lexar micro SD card that I'll show you here on the screen. I'll try to put an Amazon link down below. I don't get any kind of affiliate money from that at all. It's just for you guys, to benefit you if you're buying this quad. So I think it's a really great quad. It just needs a good fast micro SD card. Really smooth. Now I'm still in GPS mode, and I'll bring it over here. I'll just go full stick by myself so you can get an idea of what the speed's like. Pretty quick. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit RTH, return to home. And you have to be in GPS mode to get return to home to work, okay? So keep that in mind, very important. And this quad looks like it wants to come back facing the rear toward me. Some of them turn around the other way, but this one is rear facing. I'm still recording video there. So let's see how close it lands to the original takeoff point. It did really well yesterday. It looks like it's almost gonna land on my bag. Now, not quite as close as it was yesterday. Yesterday, it almost actually landed on the helipad, so that was really cool. So I haven't done anything here with the transmitter. I'm not pressing anything, and the motors came to a stop. That's pretty cool. Okay, so we're in GPS mode. I'm gonna fly forward just a little bit. I'll try a punch out for you guys real quick, just for the fun of it, because we have brushless motors right here, and that's really awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and point the quad toward myself and press record on the video. Make sure I have a red light there. And I'm gonna hit mode, and we're gonna hold down on the mode. And if it's not directly pointed at you, like I said, you can turn the yaw, and I'm able to control the altitude as well as it flies around me. Now, this is a pretty good example. Yesterday I was in a field that was a little bit small, and I had to actually stop it because I just was about to hit a building. So pick a nice big open field, no trees, and it seems right now I have enough space in between me and the trees over there. It's kind of hard to judge and tell the distance between objects and you in a long distance, so keep that in mind. And you can kind of keep it pointed towards you. If you look at the bottom of the landing gear, if they're pointed straight at you or not, if it's over to an angle, like right now it's over at an angle, it's not pointing directly at me, I can turn the yaw stick a little bit as it goes around and keep the camera on me. If you're watching your real-time view, you can also correct that a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and take it out now. Just gonna hold down mode again, and I'm gonna go back into GPS mode. And before the battery dies, I might do a little FPV action.
Okay, this is where the CX-23 gets really cool, and this is why I think it's cooler than the DJI Spark, mainly because you have an aerial quad for one feature, to record video, play around with flying it and recording videos. Second, you get an FPV machine out of this quad, and you can FPV it with 5.8 gigahertz, which is what all of us FPV racers use. And the reason we use 5.8 is because it has a much faster frame rate than Wi-Fi video. Wi-Fi video is a high resolution. Yes, it looks a little better on your iPad screen, but it's not as fast in real time. So FPV racers don't use that. We would probably crash if we tried to fly 80 miles an hour with a Wi-Fi video. It's just not fast enough. So the other really cool aspect of this quad is, look at all the telemetry on this screen. I mean, this is a really robust and awesome OSD on here. You have all kinds of information on here, much like something like a long-range, expensive $400 system. something like Eagle Tree, has a lot of the same types of features on here. Now we have right up at the very top of the screen, you have that red video record time code there, and that's kind of nice. I've been recording for almost 1 minute and 30 seconds. You also have your altitude up, or actually the mode that I'm in, and I'm in mode A, which is that altitude hold. I'm not in GPS. So right below that you have throttle. It shows me my percentage of throttle. I'm at 48, 49, almost 50% throttle right there, and it's a self-centering stick, so I'm keeping it at center stick a lot right now. Also below that we have the connection to the transmitter. It sort of looks like a little Wi-Fi thing there, 100%, 99, also known as RSI. Over on the top left we have 12 satellites at the very top of that screen, and we have pitch and roll, how many degrees pitch and roll axis I'm on. And then just below that, you see that little arrow right there? That's pointing away from home. And down at the very bottom there in the center of the screen, see that little home? It looks like a little home icon right next to those numbers that are moving, and that arrow is pointed back toward the home point, and that's a really cool feature. If you get lost, you can sort of look at that little arrow, and it lets you know how many feet or meters you are away from the home point. And it's not turning around very quickly, it's not super accurate, and you can see that it's still pointed away from the home point. So that is kind of interesting that it does that. But if you rely on that, it'll let you know which way come back to home. So if those numbers are decreasing, then you're coming back to the home point. Now over here on the left hand side you have how many volts you are, and I'm at a super low voltage right there, so I'm probably gonna land it very soon. But right there I'm also at 12 minutes flight time. You can see that little clock there on the left and the numbers counting 12, 24, 25. So that's very close to 12 to 13 minute flight time on this battery, and I had a lot of fun with this quad and a lot of fun doing this review, mainly because it's so diverse and I can do so many things with it. And the return to home seems to work really well. Now you can see at the top hand, this corner of the screen, I'm in RTH, and that means return to home. So pretty cool quad, you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed flying this one. I'm Justin Davis. I'll see you on the next one.